Somebody asked, you gonna get married and have kids, Martin? I think that'd be good. I'm sort of at a crossroads now, where I'd like to get married. I'd like to have children, but I have different reasons for this. So the first reason is I really want to make my parents happy. My parents gave me the great gift of life. They seem to really want grandchildren. We have a family of four, not to get too personal, a family of four children, including myself. So I have three siblings. None of us have had children yet, and which is a little statistically unlikely. And I feel like it almost falls on me to do so. Um, I lost 4 years, not of my life, but of some parts of my social life in prison. Um, and so to some extent, I feel like I need to catch up on that. I don't know if that's sort of selfish or not, but um, even if I started right now, I don't think I can get married and have children for at least sort of 2 years. And that's probably a pretty quick time frame. A lot of people want to feel more comfortable with their partner before they start relationships and so forth. Where are you going to find your wife? I'm probably just going to marry an artificial intelligence. I think that's probably the best move for me. Um, I just have to program it. Um, that might take a long time, but once the program's ready, I'm going to press run, and that's you know the bad thing is the program might not like me. The program might be like, well, I've thoroughly analyzed your personality and you're a narcissistic jerk, and I'm actually gonna marry Chris. I don't know what you're gonna do, Chris, but
This is why you've been learning all the programming though.
yeah, I think you should just delete, Control C and break the program and delete it. Show that program who's boss. But no, I don't know. We'll see. You can meet your relationship anywhere, right? You can meet your partner um, standing in line and Starbucks or at work or God only knows where, right? Like it doesn't matter online, obviously. Um, so in the metaverse. But I think the most interesting thing is I do think humans will have AGI partners someday. As crazy as that is to say. And again, watching the John Carmack 5 hour interview with Lex Friedman, um, John is now, I think, giving his full time attention to AGI, which is pretty scary because if anybody can kind of get it to work, it's probably going to be him. Um, Taking more of a practical um, engineer's perspective to create AGI as opposed to kind of what we're doing now, which is academiaing it to death. If that, I mean, I'm not even sure that's what we're doing. But in any event, we should probably get going. It's 12:20. Been going for a little while here. If anybody else wants to chat, come on up.
What's up, Martin?
Yo.
Have you seen or heard anything new or exciting in the pharmaceutical space in regards to drug and alcohol treatment? And do you ever think there would, even though it's had like a ton of issues, do you ever think there will be like a Chantix type drug for addiction?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So in general, my basic answer is I'm not aware of anything that's exciting or interesting. Unfortunately, there is a desperate need. My best friend in prison was a drug addict, and he's this guy. I mean, he's basically my age, so I would say he's a kid, but he's not a kid. Maybe a couple of years younger. Who and we just read like science and math and STEM all day. It was a lot of fun because we had kind of a same perspective. I had a little bit more success or whatever education than him, but we had a lot of common interests. So we just read about science and programming and like interesting shit all day. He was a literature buff, so we spent some time talking about that too. And in any event, I got to know an addict for the first time in my life up close and personal. And this person was my best friend in prison. And basically, just really trying hard to sort of understand what addiction really looked like up close and personal. And this person would lie to me about their addiction. And I confronted him and I said, why did you lie to me here? Like my best friend in here. And, you know, the reality is, people, you can be embarrassed by the addiction. You can be, um, stunned by it. And he said, Martin, I really don't understand why I'm an addict. Like, I don't want to be. I just have this, compulsion to do these drugs, and I can't stop. And that's the most horrible thing that's ever happened to me. And it got him in prison for 9 years, even though he was just a simple drug dealer who was trying to make his own ends meet and get his own supply of drugs. Typically, people who are that addicted will end up selling drugs as well to their friends or whatever. So 9 years in prison was really an insane amount. And I think people with addiction will struggle for their whole lives, right? Like with temptation and with issues like that. And so I still talk to this person, maybe not every day, but quite often. And, really hoping that, the best for them. But it's really fascinating to sort of come up close and personal with it. You hear about addiction, you learn about addiction, but unless you've had a family member or a really close friend, I've had a couple coworkers who were substance abusers, and I tended to look at them like probably how my other coworkers looked at them, which was like, oh, sucks, and we're sorry, but at the end of the day, like you can't work here, and you're not a productive employee. You're probably a liability. We want you to get help. We want you to be better, but just not around us. And I think that's a really cold way to do it. But I mean, how many people could be a C-level person at a top tech company or something and still have a substance abuse problem? I'd say almost never would happen, at least, and be open about it. So really, really painful. But it goes with the rest of psychiatry, where there just isn't much going on with the science of it all to really understand why we get addicted and why all this stuff is happening. There's plenty of research being done, but not translational research, the kind of research we need to, as drug companies, to sort of like put, one foot in front of the other and actually come out with a therapy. A lot of this stuff ends up being kind of the same old, same old. So very, very few companies are trying new things, brand new things in addiction. And what's funny is most people don't think it's a very big market, which is sad because the amount of people dying of addiction is larger than really, quite frankly, almost any other illness. It's now got to be in the top five causes of death, which for drug companies traditionally, maybe a little bit of a state secret here, but that is the place you go to make money. You look at the top 10 killers and you say, okay, let's go after this stuff because this is where we can sell the most and make the most money. So, um, in any event, that's kind of the truth of kind of what's happening with some of the biopharma industry.
I work in the space, and basically what I've been seeing over the past 5 years, a lot of the government funding is going towards medication assisted treatment, which is fine. But what I've been seeing, what we've been seeing is a lot of people are coming in for treatment for those maintenance drugs. And the traditional one was methadone, but now it's more Suboxone, Subutex. So it's kind of, it's just a weird situation. Like it's basically like a Band-Aid. And
Yeah, one of my close friends from prison is actually in the chat right now, and we know. I mean, Suboxone was one of the best-selling narcotics in prison, and it's a drug of abuse as much as it's also a drug of therapy.